Bills fans, I'm not even going to attempt to lie to you. I'm not going to tell you a white lie. I'm not going to tell you a partial lie. The truth is, this is likely the worst season y'all will have in the last 5 years.
Shut up the Bills! It's not outside! It's not outside! Yeah, we the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, we the Buffalo Bills. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Reppin' the mafia, yeah. Reppin' the mafia, Bills, mafia, yeah. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Told me now listen, everyone play their position. Buffalo got a tradition. They say we trippin', they better get out our way. Top of the table, we flippin', we on a mission. Got an unstoppable team, continue to follow your dream by any means. Buffalo, get in the Super Bowl ring. Cause we the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, we the Buffalo Bills. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Reppin' the mafia, yeah. Reppin' the mafia, Bills, mafia, yeah. You better know that. Look how we throwing and catching, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. You better know that. Look how we running and hitting, cause we are unstoppable, yeah. Mafia up in your city, time to get gritty. Screaming and yelling, we bugging. Look at the red and blue.
This is an MVP year for Josh Allen. As an MVP voter, I said this last week. Josh Allen, he looks like an MVP. When you vote for MVP, and I can speak for myself, I think I'm one of 50 voters, you look at a couple things. Who's the best team in football? Who's the best player on that team in football? What do they look like as the best player on that team in football? And how much talent is around that best player on that best team in football?
Cause we the Buffalo Bills. Yeah, we the Buffalo.
And a good evening, everyone. It's good to be back on the Coast to Coast podcast with your co-host Beyond 716 after a long hiatus. I was actually on Whittle's Coast for quite a while for family reasons, all kinds of stuff. But now we're back to normal here in California. And it's great to see you, Whittle. We have two amazing guests on today, so we'll get right to it. But can you believe, I want to say thank you to the World Cup. And I'm going to say thank you to the World Cup for this reason. We are now only 7 days away from the start of Bills training camp. And we are only 53 days now away from Bills at Houston. This always feels so much longer. Thank you to the World Cup for distracting us for such a long period of time to get us through those doldrums of July. I don't know if you fellas feel the same way, but I'm happy about that. So it just it's amazing after all the dust settled on that. It's like, wow, the Buffalo Bills season is right around the corner. So here we are, 1 week to go. Whittle, how are we doing?
Doing great, man. I gotta fix this thing. Trying to never mind. I'm good, bro. I'm good.
Good deal.
Training camp is upon us, man. We got rookies reporting. They reported yesterday, and the rest of the guys will report next week. 29th, I want to say. We're officially back and better than ever. Coach Brady era is upon us, and yeah, I'm excited, man. I mean, this could go really, really well with all of the changes, or really, really bad, and then we get a great wide receiver in the draft next year. I'm not sure how it goes, but as long as we're healthy, yes, Ralph is the best, absolutely. But as long as we're healthy, man, I like our chances. So, that's where I'm at. How you been, brother? Welcome back.
Thank you. It's definitely great to be back. So again, it's about 7 days to go, getting geared up now. And it's really, it's been a different off season than usual, right? We've been so accustomed under the McDermott era, kind of what to expect going into the season of what we had. And of course, anything in life when there's unknowns, right? There's always a little trepidation. There's always a little bit of anxiety as to, what our changes are going to be brought, especially to the Buffalo Bills. As now Josh Allen goes into the 30th year. Happy birthday, Josh Allen now 30 years old. We know we're getting more into probably the second half of his amazing career, if you look at it like in 9-10 year blocks, so to speak. So it's just, I think it's exciting. No, I still think we have a lot in place. We do have a lot of questions on defense, and we have a lot coming up that we're going to see in camps. It's going to be a lot of very interesting battles that we haven't been accustomed to, Whittle, and maybe you all would agree, more than usual, especially in the last several years. So definitely excited to see how that plans out.
For sure. My biggest concern is the defense, as usual. The last 5-6 years, the Bills have been a top 5 offense, so I'm not really sweating whether or not we're going to put up points or we're going to, have issues with putting up, scoring or the offense being able to carry their own weight. I am a little worried about certain teams. You know what I'm saying? Like, How are we going to look against the Texans? How are we going to look against the Patriots consistently? How are we going to look against Miami? The last one we played, we did not look that hot. So, just games like that. Big game against the Rams. We're going to see a healthy Detroit. Some of those games are, games that I think stand out this year. But ultimately, the defense, I think this team goes as far as the defense carries their own weight. If the defense can carry their own weight, especially in January and February or January, I think we got a great shot to get to February. But before we go any further, we have a couple of return guests. If you were tuned in last week, I had the Ralph Rant, our good friend. Now he is now part of his family. We're going to be speaking with the Ralph a few times this year, I'm sure. Looking forward to continuing to collab with him and a veteran to the show, to the pod, Kevin Masseri. Whenever you guys bother me about numbers or data, if I can't get to it, he can. So fighting too if you come after me, I guarantee it. So welcome, guys. Welcome back to the pod. What are your thoughts on where we are, man? Training camp, new stadium. Like, what's the feels like right now, guys?
Well, first of all, great to be here, Whittle, and nice to be here week 2. We had a great and a long one last week. That was a blast. I don't know where 3 hours went. That was the fastest I've ever spent 3 hours for sure. Wow. But this is exciting, and I think we mentioned the World Cup a few minutes ago, and I think the other big impact of the World Cup is that NFL stadiums can get grass, and I think a lot of players are talking about that, and I couldn't be more pleased that the Bills will be on their own grass field for their home games. And I don't know. I haven't done a count of actually what the turf games would actually be now that the Bills have grass in the house. But I think that's one of the impacts, and just looking forward to training camp. And I'm especially interested in this defense.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, if you look at it from a perspective of what were we able to do to get to this point, Brian mentions it, the World Cup. Near and dear to my heart. I actually one of very few people who played both sports at a high level, football and soccer. It's not very common to cross those two sports, but I did growing up pretty frequently. So actually, most people don't realize those were my 2 sports growing up. Nice. So it was really cool to see what the U.S. men's team's able to do. I know they fell short against Belgium, but ultimately, I still think the future is promising. But yeah, as Ralph mentioned, the grass is a huge update. Like, look, I'm super happy the Bills are on top of it, and they have a state-of-the-art grass. People are going to start copying the Bills, the way that they've designed their field and the way it drains and the way it heats and the way they germinate it from, believe a lot of the seeds from Penn State. Go figure. So I think that's the whole package is going to be one that's copied. And I think it's a really state-of-the-art facility. Even the Buffaloes outside are getting some love more than they did originally. So I think that people are really starting to feel like, wow, they really did a really nice job on this stadium when there may have been some questions. I know Kansas City looks like they're getting some type of clear roof from the looks of their rendering. But ultimately, 70% of it's covered. Pretty excited to see the stadium, and ultimately, I think it will blow MetLife out of the water. So that's all that ultimately matters is now it's going to be New York's facility as well.
Yeah, and to add to the humiliation of downstate, and that doesn't count for me because I'm across the water in Jersey. But the humiliation downstate, the Buffalo Bills are now being carried by the local station out here, 1050.
Oh yeah, that's right.
ESPN. That's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So we'll get Bills games locally down here. I know the Jets and Giants fans can't wait to listen to Josh Allen on Sundays, doing things that their quarterback can only dream of. Even though I like Jackson Dart, I think Jackson Dart's gonna be a good one. But
yes,
ultimately, man, like Josh Allen's so good at football, man.
It's amazing. Yeah.
These Bo Nix with stronger ankles, guys.
He's better. Listen, he's much better than Bo Nix. Much better. Kevin, I didn't get your thoughts. Real quick, we'll go into this. Top 10 quarterback list. Josh Allen's at number 1. Is it valid? Would you make some changes? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that, and I get in trouble for saying this, but as a non-superstitious analytical guy, so obviously I trend that way more than the other way, than eye test or feels. He just doesn't get hurt, guys, and ultimately the durability factor in football, especially over anything else at the quarterback position. I know wins aren't a quarterback stat, and there's data that supports it, but there's also data that doesn't support it. So that's why, like, I'm in the middle on the wins as a quarterback stat thing. I can see both arguments on it. I think that there is some validation to wins aren't a quarterback stat. However, why do teams that have the best quarterbacks win? So ultimately, it is a fallacy there on that on that front. And the Bills are the winningest football team in the regular season, so I don't get myself in trouble, since 2020. So ultimately, he's at the helm. You can argue the Bills receiver roster. You can argue moments, but ultimately, I can't. How can you argue his production? He's going to break rushing records. He's truly one of the best dual threat quarterbacks we've ever seen, both with speed and power. Like, both of the combinations, just deadly. DBs can't tackle him. So we're always worried about Josh getting hit, but ultimately he does the punishment almost 99% of the time. Maybe sometimes if a defensive lineman gets him in the backfield, that's a little different, but he generally delivers the punishment down the field, especially when he gets out of the pocket. I mean, he's one of the best players to ever exist in this sport. He needs some hardware beside the MVP to show for it. But once he gets that, I think you can start to rank him in that top echelon. He needs those moments, Whittle. That's the one thing I need from Josh. We talk about it all the time in other places. 3 seasons in a row with the ball in his hand. And although most of the game at times aren't his fault, some of the turnovers, little bit more in the Denver game than others, but he's the best player to play the sport. He is going to get a championship. I really think that, and I think it's sooner rather than later. It's around the corner. Coaching changes are super big to me. I was pretty hesitant on it just because I didn't want to ruffle any feathers. But ultimately, you see like the Boston Red Sox go and win 15 straight after firing their manager. It's a thing. Like, I don't know what to say. I was in locker rooms before. It's a thing. Like, it just matters. And they did hit the wall with McDermott. And for the last time, his defense also couldn't make a stop against Bo Nix in the fourth quarter. This isn't Patrick Mahomes, who's the best, probably at this point, the best to do it in moments. He really is. In moments, he is the best to do it. And it wasn't Mahomes this time. It was Bo Nix. So ultimately, I know there were some injuries. We talk about them all the time, but the combination and Josh, from what I was told, had a huge say in this coaching choice. So, I mean, I think he has all the pieces in play now. So this is what we have to go with. And yes, he is the best quarterback in the NFL today, especially post last season, when I don't really have another quarterback there at the current moment, even though there's a couple that make an argument, but I'm a big Joe Burrow fan personally, just with his processing ability, but he's got to start making the playoffs again.
Yeah, that, and he's got to stay healthy. Joe's missed, I think, 12 games over the last 3 years total, something like that, or 2 years, or whatever it's been.
It's too many.
He missed a bunch of games. Another quarterback that I think has a very, very, very good argument for number 1, especially when you look at the postseason numbers, Matthew Stafford. His numbers, they get better after the the wild card is cool. Then his divisional numbers are out of this world. His championship round numbers are pretty good too. Like he's got I think coming off the MVP, what he's been able to do over the last couple of years. I just, if they would have made Matthew Stafford the number one quarterback, I wouldn't have felt any type of way about it.
Don't you guys feel he's underrated in most places and lists?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
I think that stems, though, back from Detroit also. There seems to be a stamp put on players that can last, and they're just the sound of Matthew Stafford. You hear that. But, yeah, I agree that he would have been a fine choice for the MVP. And the other thing, we forget, we spend all this time in the offseason doing these individual rankings, which are great. Football has become a year-round thing. Even in the dead of July, we have stuff going on that we're talking about. But it is the ultimate team sport, as Rex Ryan and many others have said. And to try to attach these individual stats to people, I mean, the eye test is clear. I agree with Kevin. I mean, this is the best football player ever, I believe. And one of those other players, we're talking about durability, who goes out with that foot fracture he had for the last several games of the season and into the playoffs? I mean, yeah, he was getting shot up, but that was, that's toughness. And I think that is part of that injury thing. But yeah, sure, Stafford, I agree, but I think you've got to look at, the defense Stafford has been playing with that actually gets pressure. I mean, you've got to have the quarterback and you've got to get pressure on the other quarterback. And that's and I think that's what Jim Leonhard has solved here. So don't get me going on the defense. I'm really loving, I think, what we're going to see.
Yeah, I'm
Yep.
I'm right there with you, Rob. I love kind of I love what the defense could be. But I'm like, this team, man, over the last 3 years, we've been so freaking close. 23, we're a couple of drops from winning that game. 24, a drop away from winning that game. And I literally had a Ravens fan try to tell me that was Josh's fault. It was a bad throw, and his pre-snap read was terrible. You idiots. They ran that same personnel grouping and mugged the A gap with linebackers, brought the nickel down, and then brought the safety down. They did it 4 different times, and they always blitzed to the side where Chris Jones was. And on 4th and 2, fourth quarter, gotta have it. They blitzed with a boundary corner and a safety from the opposite side of Chris Jones, which is a super no-no, because if Josh realizes that, and Cooper, it wasn't even Cooper over there, it was Ty Johnson. If they recognize what's happening there, that is a quick Ty Johnson up the sideline, soft toss, catch, go, touchdown. But obviously, Spags is one of the best to do it. The Chiefs have been really, really, really good in situational football, especially in close games, over the last 7 years. So you tip your cap to them. And then last year, man, the turnovers hurt. And it wasn't just the turnovers. It was the timing of the turnovers. That Cook fumble, absolute worst time. I think if Cook holds on to that football we scored there, it's probably going to go out. It's probably over by halftime. Josh is sitting in the fourth with a ball cap, because Broncos fans can lie all they want now. You guys didn't believe before the game. You didn't believe you were going to win.
They did.
First quarter. You didn't believe until Josh Allen fumbled before the half. You didn't believe. You didn't. We're here now. New coach. I got to see the defense do it. I can't put myself out there without seeing the defense do it. So that's where I'm at. And they got to show me now.
Well, what are your concerns with the D, Whittle, as far as is it just not knowing, or is it anticipating certain things to be not right?
It's a couple of things. Number one, I'm nervous about the linebacker depth. I like Terrell Bernard. I think Terrell Bernard's a very good player, especially when he's healthy. He hasn't been healthy. I think Dorian Williams is starting to become the player that I thought he could be when he got drafted out of Tulane. Caleb Elam-Zor, they love him. I don't. I got to see it to believe it. Joe Andreessen, I'm hoping that this is a simpler defense that he can pick up on a little bit faster because he seemed to have trouble getting on the field with McDermott as the head coach. So there's some uncertainty there, and the linebackers are extremely important with defending the middle of the field, kind of taking away those quick slants and quick check downs to the running backs, and we got a tight end problem in the AFC. Mark Andrews is still here. The Cincinnati Bengals utilize their tight ends very, very well. Brock Bowers is out there. What's his name? And Njoku is now with the Chargers. And Mike McDaniels is going to use the heck out of him. I'm just a little worried about the middle of the middle tier of the defense, the middle level of the defense, that second line. From nickel corner, D. Alford is new. Not really sure what to expect from him yet. And then the linebackers, man, like I feel a lot better if Jermaine Pratt was on the team. I feel a lot better if I knew that Matt Milano was sitting at home right now with the playbook and having conversations with Jim Leonard and the linebackers coach, a couple days a week. I feel a lot better about that with Shaq Thompson. I just don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking that you're going to have a linebacker signed. It's just natural. Someone's waiting till training camp till August 1st, let's say, just as a round number. You're getting one of those guys you just mentioned, whether it's Milano or Thompson or whether it's Pratt or Okereke. Like at some point, like one of those guys. I mean, those guys are looking for higher level jobs at this point. And they're hard to come by, so they're going to wait for either an injury or someone like Brandon Beane to call and say, "Hey, we got some youth over here. We got some availability." I mean, you one of your topics was free agents. I just think of the linebacker as a natural fit right now. The Bills don't have to pay a ton. That's Brandon Beane's music. They're going to be able to plug in a guy that's right borderline starter, if not better than that. So, I mean, you're going to start to see some of these final names trickle in. And there's a couple of boundary corners if they needed to go that route. But ultimately, you're going to see one of those guys get signed here relatively shortly. And possibly starter level based on what they think of Elam-Zor. But Elam-Zor is the only problem. The only thing I see with him is like Jim Leonard talks about him any chance he gets. Ultimately, I mean, he's in OTAs basically calling the defense. I mean, we'll see. Like he's the key to all that. I think he's the blocker right now of getting one of those vets to start day one. So I think they kind of want to see where he's at after he comes back, or he's there now as a rookie. So right. I think they kind of want to see where he's at right now, communication, body, workout, and see if all that's, and those are his strengths. So, and obviously calling a defense, he's really strong at that too. So if those things line up, they're probably going to want to see him early and often. Maybe they'll give Dorian a little sprinkle because he's Dorian Williams and he's been here for 4 years. But I think he's going to really run the twos. And if he proves he can do that, I think it's his job day one. If neither of them prove it, I mean, he's definitely going to go to one of those veterans you mentioned.
Who do you want?
And you see Dorian Williams on the who do you see in the other linebacking spot next to Orris?
It's Terrell Bernard.
Yeah.
Bernard. Yeah.
You think? Yeah, well, I know, but Bernard just strikes me though. He's almost. I don't know. He's almost struck me as more of like the super hybrid safety rather than the thumper. And like what Shaq brought. Go ahead again.
I think you need that. You're running a 5-man front. I'm not in love with Rousseau in coverage or Bradley Chubb having to drop out and cover tight ends or running backs in the flat. Like, I mean, can they do it? Sure, they're athletic guys with a athletic ability to get out.
I don't think you're going to see that a lot, though. I really don't think we're going to be seeing any kind of a significant percentage of them dropping. I mean,
you're going to have to. But Rob, you're gonna have to see that. You're gonna have to see somebody from one of those outside backer spots in coverage, and I think consistently, unless we're just bringing pressure and going man behind them. I think you're gonna have to, because you don't want to give these quarterbacks that we're going to be facing in the AFC. You don't want to give them an easy answer to the test. The check down is an easy answer, and most of these guys are more than willing to take it. Bo Nix, in particular, will take the check down. Burrow will take the check down. Mahomes will take the check down. I mean, maybe you can get Lamar with it, but the rest of these guys, man, like they're going to take the check down. They're going to take it. So I think you're gonna have to see some of that, of some of these defense, some of these edge guys drop out into coverage, simulate pressure, drop out, take an easy answer away from the quarterback, and maybe they're in coverage, maybe they're just playing like sort of a zone / spy, cover this area until the quarterback makes a move. But I think you're gonna have to see some of that. But ultimately, where Terrell Bernard's strength, in my opinion, is his ability to read what's happening in front of him, diagnose it quickly, and his coverage ability. He was excellent in 23. 24, was it 20? Which year was it? Was it 23 or 20? No, it was 23. I think 24. He didn't have the best year.
Well, he hurt the ankle at the end of 23, right?
Yeah, he was really good in 23. Really good, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was the year he had like 140 something tackles, 6 sacks, 6 interceptions, or something like that. Like, he was all over the place.
Yeah, don't forget he comes from a similar 5-man front. I mean, he used to have in Baylor. He used to be used to those big fronts and be able to run and be free. And Dorian Williams also 6'1", 225. So it's not like you're gaining anything high weight speed. So I think that's ultimately, for me, and Dorian is just not he just can't cover anybody. He's just too much of a liability for the minimal gain you may grab against the run, which is mitigated with the 5-man front. So ultimately, I'm just not Dorian Williams' biggest fan. I think he serves a purpose. Loved him in the QB spy role. I think he's a top 4 special teamer, plays core 4, plays most teams units. He's super good in most moments. He's just a super liability in coverage. He see ball, get ball. We'll see how that plays. Has a little more play in this defense, but if you're looking for like a Joe Andreessen, might come in with that thumper ability. But I mean, they just haven't proven that they want to go get one of those guys. They could have. There was a couple that they could have gone and done and fairly affordably and or limited draft resources. So they're ultimately going to lean toward like an Elarms or and a Bernard combo at this point, especially when you have a Chubb who's big and a Rousseau who's big next to them with 3 big guys in front of them. I think they'll feel pretty good against the thumping side, and they want the benefit that back to the tight end point. They're going to want the benefit to the best coverage guys that they can get. And to me right now, it's Bernard and Elarms or as their core abilities, but we'll see as training camp rolls around. And if not, I like the coverage ability of a Bobby Okereke. I'm not sure where he's going to go in the next week or two, but he is truly a starting linebacker for me that's available at the moment. And we know Milano can do when healthy, and he showed flashes last year, so would also be a good signing. Shaq Thompson also earned the fans. People loved him. He had a really good 1 year here. So the Bills have certainly a good choice. And I'm an Okereke fan because I really think he is in that next level of who's available right now if I was to pick. But more realistically, he's probably bringing back Shaq Thompson. But or Milano. So we'll see where that all. And Pratt is said to be someone the Bills were interested in at one point. So he might be more the mold you're looking for. If you're kind of looking for a little different of a linebacker, maybe they are. So we'll see. I think that'll be broken for us in about if they do something there, which I think they will in the next week or two. What kind of style what veteran style they're going to bring in.
Well, exactly. And the veteran style based on what Leonard is doing with the defense now, because, and I've heard this on so many pods and doing predictions on the Bills, guys are looking at what the Bills did position-wise last season, and I just don't think it applies. I think, somebody like Javon Solomon could come in and be a different player, almost something we haven't seen out of him before. So I asked that question with how much the defense is changing, how these roles might change, and you're getting into it there exactly with the coverage abilities, because the math is changing up front. They've got 5 guys in the line of scrimmage rather than 4. Yes, the edges may drop out in coverage or have a flat route to take or something like that, but I just think the change in math and the pressure that the Bills haven't been able to get, I'm thinking like that's going to be what they're going to anchor this defense with. And I might be wrong, but it's the concentration that's been put up front and then really not so much in linebacker and the inside linebackers again. And again, those roles have changed some because of what Bernard or Milano may have done last season, or even Shaq Thompson, different in this defense. And I think this defense, though, is going to be faster and easier to learn. They've already heard that from players like Deion Walker and Bradley Chubb, both. And so it'll be interesting to see how the roles that we think these guys occupy actually translate to this version of the defense that we're about to see.
Jermaine Pratt, 6'3", 250. If they want to go with a different mold, the guy that gets tackles, cleans everything up, a little bit different, he's there. So it'll be up to Leonard to determine the way he wants to go with this. But I think on the outside edge and the defensive, stand-up linebacker position, Joker, whatever you want to call them, stand-up rush linebackers, Leos, or they've got a couple of different names based on the coverage unit. But I mean, it's super deep there now. The Bills did spend their top resource there, their top one of their top free agent resources in Chubb, their top draft pick in Parker. Don't forget Hoyt's back, and Mike Dana is going to be a guy that is going to make the roster. Maybe, I like his play. He hasn't been the best lately. But he's also going to be the 52nd guy in the roster, 51st, 52nd, 53rd. Like it's a deep unit. It's not one that is going to rely on all those guys. And Hoyt being in DN 4 right now, stand up lineman 4. I mean, they did spend significant time adjusting to that. I think that's why I think they'll feel safe and with some free play from Bernard and Elarms or at the moment. But they're going to bring in a vet, I think, and we'll see if they push to start.
Let's not forget about Javon Solomon.
There you go.
Finally, I think he fits actually what we're doing defensively. I really want to see him get a real shot at being an outside backer and being able to just come in, be aggressive, be energetic, and just use that burst to get around the edge and cause havoc. But we're speaking a lot about the defense, and I do want to switch sides really quickly on the ball and talk a little bit about DJ Moore. DJ Moore obviously is an upgrade talent. I don't think anybody can disagree with that. But does DJ Moore fix the problem that we've had over the last couple of years, which is our wide receivers have difficulty against press man coverage? Do you think DJ Moore can improve that on our roster? Because over the last couple of years, he has not been the best at it. I'm looking at the 2024 numbers now. He was worse than Shakir and Palmer. As a matter of fact, they're like, it's Shakir, Palmer, and then DJ Moore all in a row. And Amari Cooper's down there as well. So right around like 63, 62% success rate against, 63% success rate against man coverage, which is good, I guess. But what do you guys think?
I mean, I think, I do think DJ Moore has good upper body strength and maybe some good, footwork and things like that where he can beat jams at the line of scrimmage. I don't know. I mean, some of you would know better in terms of how he is against press man against some other top receivers. I mean, I would say Whittle. I don't know if it fixes all of our issues, but I do think he's going to help fix a number of our issues with our wide receiver. If anything else, I just think he puts some of our other skill players in better positions to get better matchups as well. So especially like a Keon Coleman, who's trying to get back into good graces of our organization and also kind of take a little bit of a leap this year, right? And we have a lot, and even guy like Khalil Shakir, I think it puts him in a better position for us. So will he have the impact of a Stephon Diggs? Well, that's going to be tough to replicate. I mean, Stephon Diggs, he had the most catches in 4 years in the NFL when he was with the Buffalo Bills. But maybe we're not cooking like 20 Whittle, but we're not struggling. I hate to use the word struggling with a top 5 offense, but how it felt at times we struggled passing the ball, guys. I think you would all agree. I think we're going to be somewhere in between with a much more efficient run game and a much better offensive line than we had back in 20 and even 21. So I mean, that's just my long-winded answer on that.
I mean, when it comes to DJ Moore, I mean, the fit was weird with Ben Johnson. Like, it's been known, it's been talked about. Like, late in the season, you still had Caleb Williams not looking his way until he needed to, and then I mean, he walked off Green Bay twice himself. So ultimately, he brings some of that edge that some of the receiver, including Diggs, at times missed in those clutch moments. I mean, Moore's kind of opposite of that. Does he come down with that play instead of Brandon Cooks? I think so. He's a super solid low receiving guy. I mean, look, if you look at his corner route percentage, 60%, post 72.7, 9 routes, 61.5%, success routes. I mean, those are deep patterns. And I mean, he's over 60% or more cumulatively deep down in the deep third of the field. I mean, he's super successful down there and in clutch moments. His out route and his dig routes are super strong. I mean, he runs those fairly efficiently, 71% success rate running digs. I mean, he's a 70% beater against man coverage. I mean, that's good enough. That's good. And he's 78% against zone. I mean, if you don't go his way, he's not going to be good. I mean, he is a volume-based receiver. And, you know, I'll get myself into trouble where I think he's better than he was. And that was before the Bills traded for him. So I am a DJ Moore fan. And early on in the offseason, I'm like, he's going somewhere, and I hope it's not Kansas City. Because I think that he would match super well with an Andy Reid style offense, and one that I think that Brady will utilize some concepts from. Those dig routes, they need to run those dig routes, get him on a 9. I mean, he can do everything. That's what makes DJ Moore. He runs every route. If you're gonna not utilize him or look the running backs or tight ends way, which Brady has done, but so does Ben Johnson, and even more so. So it's kind of that combination of, you don't trade for him. I mean, look at how successful he was underneath. We said this before a little bit with some past players, but especially DJ Moore, how successful he's been with Brady. His route tree's plentiful. He runs them all. It hasn't been his best lately, and everyone's saying, well, he's done. I don't think it's that, only because of how good he was in the playoffs. Multiple touchdowns in the playoffs last year. He was very successful. Late in the season, like I said, I mean, Caleb was looking his way to basically, when everybody else was hurt, guess who was still playing? DJ Moore. Guess who also is like Josh Allen and plays? I think he's only missed 2 games in the last 5 years. DJ Moore. What are the things the Bills have been lacking in the playoffs? Gabe Davis is hurt. You know, even Shakir's been banged up at times. Dawson Knox has, been in and out. Dalton Kincaid has been on one knee. They've been playing Trent Sherfield at times, and he's back on the roster as the 6th receiver.
I got that.
But guys, he just brings an edge to this roster that I think beyond said it, he is going to open up the field more, and I think you'll be able to use Shakir in different ways than you were able to last year. So I'm excited to see it pass the ball more, and I think that we'll see right here early on, especially on the offensive side, but while the defense adjusts, how much did McDermott have a say in this offense? And I think Brady will make a point to show that, even if it wasn't true, which it was, but he's going to make a point to show you that, this is my offense now. I was told that I had to run a certain percentage. I had to run more than I passed. And it's my job to actually show you what I can do with a DJ Moore and a Khalil Shakir and a Skylar Bell, who also does some things really well on the same field at the same time.
And the name we haven't mentioned is Pete Carmichael Jr., because as much as we think the Bills are going to be different on defense, obviously new scheme, Jim Leonard, but on the offensive side, I believe that Brady has brought in Pete Carmichael Jr. to really redo this offense somewhat. I'm not talking about reframing it, just some new siding maybe, but I believe that it's going to be a case of where, just like the point you made about, I think McDermott had his hands all over the offense last season. He was protecting his defense, which didn't work anymore after he lost Hyde and Porter because it was so complex. It required field generals like that and back. But now with this offense that you had, and with Pete Carmichael coming in and looking at some of the passing concepts, bringing in things from other teams that he's seen, he talked about that in his presser. And I think that is going to enable Josh Allen to do a lot more post-snap in the creativity created by how this offense is going to be structured. And to that point, DJ Moore, and you list the numbers that you listed earlier about Kevin, about their press coverage. Well, Josh has never really been an anticipatory thrower as much as he's been see it and get the ball there. And that's great when you had a receiver that could step into a lane and get the ball. I think DJ Moore is that. He hasn't played with a quarterback like this, but moreover, I think DJ Moore has this ability, I call it late hands if you've watched film on him. He does not prepare his hands for catching the football until the very last second in the play. So in a man coverage type of situation where you've got a guy that can get the ball to him, if he's coming in very late with those hands and not alerting the defensive back that the ball is coming, that keeps that defensive back's back turned to Josh Allen. And I just think there's a whole dynamic that's going to take place with, and I think it's going to be a far more prolific passing team than last season. I mean, remember the Bills were the number 2 only to the Ravens in rushing frequency in the run-to-pass ratio. They outrushed the rest of the league. They out-attempted the rest of the league, and they had the rushing title with James Cook. It's clear that they're not doing that again, and it's clear that I think they want to involve more people in this. And so back to the DJ Moore point, yeah, I think he's going to excel in this, and I think he's going to create gravity, which is going to open space for other guys to function. Because my biggest thing of this whole preseason is, wow, what could these guys be under a different circumstance of coaching here? And now we're going to get a chance to see that. I mean, and it's everyone from DJ Moore to Javon Solomon and everyone in between.
Yeah, I was gonna follow up that question with the question about Shakir, but you already asked that question, or you already answered that question. And I agree totally. I think Shakir is going to be freed up to do more now because you have guys that can step into that slot role like a Skylar Bell. As far as someone who can put themselves in position to catch the football in traffic, ladies and gentlemen, Agent Zero, Keon Coleman. I think that that is the area of this offense where I think that he can be of value very, very early and consistently. I don't think he's a boundary line up all the time, go downfield like Gabe Davis. I think he's more of a late in his career. Marvin, who's the guy that played for Jacksonville? Receiver that
Marvin Jones?
Yes. I think he's more of that where he's not really a guy that can separate, but I think he can be a reliable target. Strong hands, big physical frame. You can put him into areas where Josh can just kind of rip the football to him. And if he can get it and get a couple of steps, he's dangerous after the catch. Plus, he's an excellent run blocker.
Yep.
Excellent run blocker. I still think they do want. I know they still want to run the football. You don't spend you don't spend the time drafting a guy like Jackson Hawes and then not decide to continue to run the football. We're going to still run the football. We're still going to play with multiple tight ends, I believe.
Yes.
How do you guys feel about the Bills double downing Whittle? How do you feel about him double downing on? I mean, I didn't know if I believed him or not, but it's August 1st almost, and Keon Coleman looks to be their receiver 3, receiver 4. Like they truly think there's something there. And I mean, they truly believe he's a 700-yard, 7-touchdown receiver.
I agree. I agree. I pulled the numbers for the 2024 receiving class, and Brian Thomas Jr. leads everybody in yards. He's got a shade under 2,000. McConkey second. He had that great first year, and he kind of fell off a little bit in year 2. Marvin Harrison's right behind those guys. Will shade under 15. Same with Malik Neighbors, who missed Neighbors missed an entire year, right? roughly. The
Yeah, he
entire
did.
year.
Yeah.
He's going to miss some of this season as well.
Yeah.
I remember.
And he's at 1475. So like that guy's insane. Roma Dunze, who kind of got started late, Worthy, Troy Franklin, and Keon Coleman. This is the thing though. Keon has played the second least amount of games. Obviously, Neighbors play more games than, but Keon's behind everybody else at 26 games. He is tied for fourth in touchdowns. Yeah, he's tied for fourth in touchdowns. He's got 8. Him and Troy Franklin are right there, and Jalen McMillan. But he's like close in yards, man. And I just think with more opportunity, I think Keon Coleman can be more of a contributor, especially in the wide receiver 4 role. Reminds me of 2021 when we had Stephon Diggs, Emmanuel Sanders, Cole Beasley, and a rookie Gabe Davis. If you're telling me you're going to give me 17 weeks, even if it's not 17, 15 weeks of DJ Moore, Khalil Shakir, Joshua Palmer, and then Keon as your wide receiver 4, Skylar Bell sprinkled in there as well, I'll take it, man. I'll take it. And I think the kid can flourish. I think he can be productive in that spot. I don't know. But how do you guys feel about Keon?
Well, I think.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, I'm sorry. Mine will be real quick on Keon. It's really hard to say. I mean, are you talking in terms of production, Little? Are we talking some numbers here, or in terms of just kind of looking up Keon Coleman last year? And again, it's hard to compare this year to last year. You have 38 catches for 404 and 4 touchdowns in 25. I mean, with the arrival of a DJ Moore, that's going to take some passes away right there. But I do expect us to throw more this year in percentage than we did in 2025. I would say, Whittle, it's hard to envision a massive jump in terms of receptions for Coleman, maybe close to that mid to high 40 range. In that case, maybe add another 100 yards or so. But I think touchdowns, he could have a little bit more of an impact, which I'm really hoping for. Maybe he can get to that 7 or 8 touchdown range, which I think for Coleman to be consistent on and off the field and do that, I think would be a nice progression. I mean, you got to remember, he's still very young. I mean, Keon Coleman came in last year 20 years old. I mean, he still has a long runway in this league in terms of, his development, things like that. So that's where I would put him, just off the top of my head right at this moment.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I also believe that Keon, for however that worked out last season, I had my problems with Sean McDermott, and one was the fact that he made public spectacles, if you will, of his disciplinary actions with certain players. And there's a history of that. That's dating back to Marcel Darius, who was off the team before McDermott coached his first regular season game. And then he had the thing with Shady McCoy, where he was suspended for a half. That had to be out in the open. I guess there was mitigating circumstances with that. And then, I think a good head coach keeps Diggs here. I think you have to control that if that's sort of this diva mentality. And fine, if that's a receiver like that's going to have that. But you don't make a public thing about, being concerned that he's not at the OTAs and just, creating something newsworthy. And then I think it was the same thing with Keon last season with this disciplinary stuff that had to be made public rather than just sitting across from the guy and looking him in the eye and telling him what he needs to do. But having said all that, I think Keon is I think he's still got those tools we talked about with him coming in. And now he's just more mature, and I think it's going to be a good year for him. I think it's going to be a complete turnaround, and I think it has no small part of it is due to the change in head coach. I think there's a different energy and an attitude running this team now that's not sort of a weight that was on it before. And I think you'll see that weight get lifted, and Keon Coleman is probably going to be an example of that throughout the roster.
Yeah, it was weird to make a spectacle of that, and then he made a spectacle of the trade deadline. He made a spectacle of the rosters of Jamarcus Ingram. He made a spectacle of just a couple of topics that just were super strange. You could tell he was pressing. He was feeling it based on the production of his defense, and then it didn't perform in the time it mattered the most. But Keon Coleman is definitely a guy that just didn't vibe with the head coach. It's very clear. There's been some rumblings that did Brady just follow suit and listen to McDermott when he probably should have spoken up, probably. But at the same time, as an OC, like you do what you do and you kind of stay in your lane. And some of those higher personnel decisions, you got to leave to the GM / head coach. It just kind of comes with being an OC, and making sure that you get to keep your position. So, but Brady has his back. I think his vibe matches better. You've already seen some players claim about how different that is in the locker room. We'll see if that ends up being true. And it's such a love-hate relationship with McDermott, especially when it comes to someone like Coleman, where a lot of players like him because they get to keep their jobs, especially if they're defenders. So a lot of defenders love Sean McDermott because they kept their jobs for 5+ years. Like literally, there's nothing to not love about that. And his scheme, and you played his scheme, and did probably play the best of football in that scheme. And then, you have other offensive players and that just didn't vibe with him at all. So, I mean, ultimately there was that. And I'm going to throw Josh Allen into that. I know their relationship was probably better toward the end, but it just didn't seem like the world's greatest relationship. And by all accounts, I still think Josh pushed for the coaching move behind the scenes. I really do. I really said, if I don't get any help in the playoffs this year, that's it. Like, I'm a fan of this team too. Like, if he's not going to help me out, maybe, and I have to play 4 touchdown good every day, we got to do something here. And we saw that exactly happen. Josh didn't play his best game. He's been awesome in the playoff. It wasn't his best day. Still was pretty good. And McDermott came up short for him. So ultimately, that was it. I mean, that was it. But I think to your question, Whittle, Keon Coleman, I really think that he's a 700-yard receiver. And I think that Brady can untap that. It's a much improved receiver room, in my opinion, even if we don't want to give it his full credit, with more in Skylar Bell and the progression, hopefully, of Keon Coleman. I mean, it's a better receiver room than what we got to see for the last 2 years. So we'll see if it comes to fruition or not. But ultimately, Keon's got to perform. He did miss some meetings. Not great. He's got to take a little accountability there, and by all accounts, he has. So we'll see if that produces and he is able to produce on that. But he is just such a he's a second-round pick. Like, wasn't the first overall pick. Like, come on. Like, do we talk about? We like to talk about these second-round picks so much with Boogie Basham and Cody Ford, and like, it's a second-round pick. Like, ultimately, I do expect a little bit more than he's given, but like, we're acting like he's, Matt Stafford here, or someone that was taken first overall, or Joe Burrow. Like, come on, he's the Bills receiver 3 at this point, or receiver 4, or whatever you want to call it. Like, let him be that and let him flourish at that. So hopefully maybe he can be a receiver 2 soon. So let's kind of let's do that rather than just get on him with these obsession we have over these second-round picks is wild, even though we forget about like James Cook, or we forget about others who have been super successful.
Cyrus Torrance. Yeah, we forget about Cole Bishop. All second-round picks.
Super solid players.
Right. I think there are a couple things working against Keon Coleman. Number one, he got drafted a couple weeks after Stephon Diggs was traded. So that correlates to, the average fan as Diggs is out the door. Keon Coleman drafted as the first receiver for this team after Diggs walks out the door. He's wide receiver 1. He wasn't wide receiver 1. Keon Coleman was brought in here to replace Gabe Davis. They were not expecting to move on from Stephon Diggs, and it just worked out that way. But I think he gets unfairly I think the expectations are placed on him of being a number 1 wide receiver, and that wasn't him. It wasn't him in college at Michigan State. He was definitely lower in the pecking order than Jayden Reed. And when he went to transferred to Florida State, what was the guy's name? Johnny Taylor or Johnny? What was his name? The other
Johnny White.
Who?
Wasn't it Johnny White?
No, it was Johnny something. I can't remember who. I can't remember what it was.
He converted to tight end. I know that. I know you're talking about, though.
Yeah.
He converted to tight end.
But he was the wide
Eagles.
receiver 1. Yeah. He was a wide receiver 1 at Florida State. Keon was the 2. And I think this is a good opportunity. Like I said, if he comes in these wide receiver 4, yeah, I could see him, flourishing in that role, 500-600 yards.
Johnny
whatever,
Wilson.
Johnny Wilson. Yes, there we go.
Mhm.
I could see all of that. This is what, but we also got to take into consideration Joshua Palmer is injured often. Like he is injured often. So he has been for us. So that's going to move Keon up, I think, this season more than, we probably forecast. But if DJ Moore is going to be – DJ Moore's coming in being the wide receiver 1, he's going to get a ton of – I think DJ Moore gets over 1,200 yards, at the very least close to it. And I think he's, right around 80, 90 receptions. I think Keon can function as the other guy. Great run blocker, physical, does offer you some sort of a change of pace, strong hands, runs a very good slant route, and he's difficult to bring down after the catch. So I think that could help Keon. And frankly, like, he's 21 and he's right there in the pack with the other guys that were drafted in the same range as him. Like, there's not that big of a difference. McConkey's got like 500 more yards than him with a ton more targets, more receptions, and I don't know. But I like Keon. I think Keon's going to be fine. Yeah, that's where I'm at, man. That's where I'm at with Keon. But let's move on to the defense. Let's move back to the defensive side of football. We talked a bit about the linebackers, and one second. We talked a little bit about the linebackers, and okay, Kevin. All right, man. Thank you for coming in, bro.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. We'll definitely have a lengthy talk about some free agents when spaces fire up, and also we'll jump back in soon to talk corner. There's definitely some cool points on Max Harrison and IGB that I think are very valid as we talk about Leonard's team. So
I was just about to go.
looking forward to that conversation too, because I think that makes the Bills, and then you throw in D. Alford. I think that makes the Bills a lot more versatile. And not talking about my pride. I mean, I have a high hope for Toriano Pride Jr. as a potential player who going to be on the team day one in special teams, and I think he really might be that late round sleeper that the Bills seem to hit on under the Bean era. So I'm excited to see how this room plays out.
Awesome.
Right,
Thank you, Kev.
Talk to you soon.
All right,
Take care.
All right. I was just about to transition to corner. All right. We're here now. So let's get this out of your way, Rob. Cornerback. Maxwell Harrison versus Davison Igbinosun. Real quick, guys. And listen, you can believe me if you want, or you don't have to. I work with a kid, not a kid, but he's a young man that went to high school and played with Davison Igbinosun. If you don't know, IGB, Davison Igbinosun is from Hillside, New Jersey. I am in New Jersey, and one of my coworkers went to school with him. And I asked him, about the video. I was like, tell your boy, man, Bills fans a little worried about that little video he put out there on Instagram with the cars and the jewels. And he's like, bro, that's NIL money. Like, he is not even spending his Buffalo check. Like, he's not spending anything except for money he had saved up from college. Like, and he didn't buy the car. That was a rental. He rented the car, but the jewels and all that stuff, like, that's NIL money. So Bills Mafia, relax, okay? The kid is smart. He comes from a well-off two-parent household, and don't worry, he's locked in. He's going to be locked in, And I didn't speak to him, but like I said, I work with a guy that went to school with him. So, but yeah, that, like, having Igbinosun just two things, in my opinion. It gives you some. It gives you some insurance for Christian Benford, and it also gives you the opportunity to match up against teams that want to put two physical receivers on the field, whether it's two wide receivers or a wide receiver tight end combo. So if we're going to go up against the Raiders, and there's been rumors out there that the Raiders are targeting Justin Jefferson as far as the trade is concerned. If that's the case, you got to put Benford on somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And I would prefer Benford on Justin Jefferson, but then you got to have somebody that can cover that you feel comfortable running with Brock Bowers. And I'm not sitting here saying that IGB is going to come in and shut Bowers down, but I feel a lot more. I'd be a lot more comfortable watching IGB cover Brock Bowers than I would Maxwell Harrison or D. Alford. Those are smaller guys. IGB 6'1", 6'2", 200 pounds, 195, 180, 190, whatever. Much more physical, much more of a frame matchup for a tight end or a receiving tight end or a corner. So what do you guys think about this? This number one, the addition of Igbinosun, and where do you see him plugging in, Ralph? Ralph, we lost your audio, brother. Nah.
There it goes.
Can you hear him?
There we go. Yep. Now
No,
you're back.
I got it now. I don't know how that got clicked. Yeah, I think, definitely corner three, and as you say, with the physical side of it. But I also think, moreover, IGB is an example of what they're trying to bring into this team in terms of guys with attitude. And it's you can really look at all of these guys that have come in defensively. Bradley Chubb to IGB to even Geno Stone to CJGJ, all like predators, all predatory style of aggressive players. That's why I think this defense will be so different. But schematically, yeah, you're going to probably have your 1 and 2 corners out there, but like you say with Max Hairston, unless we see a different version of Max also with how the team's being coached now. But IGB brings that dog attitude, and I think that's present on so many of the guys that have come into this defense. Caleb Alarm-Zor, another example of that kind of player. And, TJ Parker, we'll see. He doesn't strike me as kind of as aggressive as the other guys, but I haven't seen him on field. But I'm just talking about attitude that you see. And that's one of the reasons I really like IGB, because it's just another affirmation that is the type of player and the idea coming on this defense that will be so different than what we've seen.
Beyond?
I really like what IGB brings to this corner room, Whittle. Gives us some more diverse options for especially our new defensive coordinator. I mean, Davidson, he's good in run. He's good against the run. He's just got long arms. He's got an imposing frame. He's just a big guy, 6'2", for his position. I just think he gives us something that we've really – it's been how much have we talked about it, Whittle? I mean, the unfortunate loss of when we lost Benford in the 24 title game. Last year we saw when we had some issues with depth, and Brandon Beane spoke about that. And I think what happened was when he first got drafted, I think a lot of us had expectations that we were going to see a different pick there. And it wasn't the player that people are upset about. I think it was just when the smoke cleared, you really got to dissect the type of player that Davidson is. It made a lot more sense. I mean, Whittle, I'll give you a perfect example. One of your favorite Buffalo Bills retired this week, and that was Levi Wallace. Yes, I would be remiss if I didn't bring up Levi Wallace's name during this pod, but you see how we've had depth problems in big situations before that may be one of the bigger reasons, if looking at a list of reasons why the Buffalo Bills have not beaten Kansas City. I mean, sometimes just a couple plays, guys, and you know just as well as I do. And to have a guy with his skill set back there, he's also an Iron Man. He played 53 career starts, straight starts at Ohio State. That fits the mold of what we're looking for here in Buffalo. So I really think, from that point of view, I'm really excited about the addition and what he brings. And Ralph, you talked about the dog mentality, and that's something Whittle and I've spoke about a lot here. What we wanted to see more on this defense, and couple that with CJ Gardner-Johnson. I just like the combinations that we're bringing in on the back end of this defense, and I'm real excited to see what we can do under our new defensive coordinator.
So I have a couple of issues, not issues, but concerns with IGB. One, he did draw a lot of penalties, not this past season, but in years prior, he was heavily penalized. In the year prior to last year, he was heavily penalized on that Ohio State defense. And a lot of it has to do with not getting his head around and playing the football. He's playing the man. This is the NFL. Quarterbacks are going to see that. They're going to take advantage of it. He has to be coached out of that. Because if not, he's just going to be a second round Dane Jackson. And God knows I do not want to see another Dane Jackson type of corner on this team. Shout out to Levi Wallace, man. Like, he was an undrafted guy in the NFL. And, he just kind of held us down for a few years at corner. It's just unfortunate that in probably the biggest game of his career, Tre'Davious White happened to be in street clothes instead of on the field covering Tyreek Hill. Game is probably different. The outcome of the game might be different if we have Tre'Davious White there, except versus Levi Wallace and Dane Jackson being our starting boundary corners. I don't know if I'll ever forgive Levi Wallace for being misaligned on Travis Kelce right before they kicked that field goal. The only receiver on his side of the field was Travis Kelce. You're misaligned. I don't know what you're guarding, but you give an uncontested streak right down the seam for Travis Kelce to catch, get down, and then them call timeout and kick a field goal, send it to overtime, and we never touch the ball again. Just unbelievable way to lose a football game. Him and McDermott will never, ever, ever be forgiven for that by me and probably all of the Bills Mafia. But IGB's got a chance. I don't know that necessarily he takes Maxwell Harrison's job. Maxwell Harrison, I'm looking at the list of corners drafted last year. You have where'd it go? Boom. There we go. See, now you guys are in trouble because I learned how to go on the Pro Football resource and Excel. And Excel is like my wheelhouse because I was an accountant for a while. So, but yeah, you got these guys that were drafted last year, first round picks, Johnny Barron, Maxwell Harrison. Then there's what's my guy? Trey Amos went. Trey Amos went
to Washington,
second
right?
round. Yeah, he went to Washington. Y'all know, if you've been watching this pod, you know there were nights that I got down on my knees and I said, God, I don't ask you for much. But when the Buffalo Bills step up to the podium, please put Trey Amos on that card. It just didn't work out. But yeah, I do like what Max Harrison brings. Out of the rookies last year, Denzel Burke leads all rookies with 3 interceptions. Jacob Parrish and Maxwell Harrison both have 2. And Max only played 11 games. Parrish played all 17. Burke played all 17. Johnny Barron played all 17 games. Trey Amos only played 10. But Max got 2 picks. And I don't even think the defense last year was good. Like, we missed Ed Oliver for all of the season except for like 3 games. Deion Walker was still kind of raw. We still lacked yes, Bosa was a presence on the edge, but I mean,
Didn't have Michael Hoyt.
Yeah.
it wasn't as good as it should have been. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think that Max needs to be worried about his spot. Things can change in training camp, but I think it's Max's job to lose, and I expect Max to be the guy, and I expect IGB to be used as a matchup piece. You know.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that definitely. And I mean, corner is tough to start with, and it's probably a great situation for IGB to come in with, because I think Max is going to actually be better this year. Also, I think there's more that's going to come out of these players, because it just seems like this coaching staff is not being, I don't know, held back or stepped on as much as it may have seemed at times last year. You heard the coordinators speak at times every Monday or Tuesday after a ball game, and just the way they presented their info. And then you listen to these guys now. I just think there's so much more coaching going on, and I think we're going to see sort of the weight of what was going on before off the team, and that's why it's going to, I think, improve all around. I mean, I said this in your show last week. I don't think it was so much the Bills needing one more oomph from Sean McDermott to push him over the wall. I think McDermott was standing on their shoulders at times, and that weight's gone now. And I think that's what Joe Brady is bringing to this. Not so much his offense at all. I think this is Pete Carmichael's offense. Brady's going to drive the car. They'll have a lot of the concepts left over, retained from what Brady did. And there's probably things that Brady couldn't do because of the weight of McDermott being on the offense and having his hands on, calling out what's going to be run to pass ratios or whatever. But I really think that we're going to see a big change also on the offensive side of the ball. It's going to look a lot different. And so I think just all around, it's a higher energy situation.
Yes, we will count that interception, by the way. Just that little comment there. Any interception against the Dolphin, we're counting it, Woke. We're always going to count it.
They count the same all around.
That's true, but always a little bit more against our rivals, though, as we know. So
certainly is.
Okay, we're gonna let's get into the wish list, man. If you had to choose one free agent acquisition to be brought into this team before the start of the season, what position, what player? Brian, let's hear it.
I really like what you said. I'm gonna maybe steal something you said earlier because it still triggers with me as Matt Milano, and I still wonder what he's doing. We haven't heard, too much about what he's up to right now and how he would fit. I believe any great defensive coordinator makes players fit into their system. You know what I mean? It's not just, it's my scheme and that's it, and you won't be a fit. I believe Matt Milano could very well fit into a nice option and gives, again, just that, even if he's not the same Matt Milano as he was the last few years, I just love to see him on this roster if we are eventually going to get to where I think we can, and B, just offers us a really nice insurance policy, because we don't know what Michael Hoyt's going to be yet. Like Ralph mentioned earlier, he's going to come back. We hear a lot about Caleb Earlham's-Orr, and I'm very excited about what he could bring, but we still don't know. We have a lot of unknowns with some of our linebacking room. How's Gregory Rousseau going to adjust, going to the outside, right? What's Mike Dana going to bring us? We have a lot of we have a lot of questions there. I think we could have a lot of answers to, which I do feel a little bit better about our linebacking room than we probably have in the last few years. But I just think bringing back Matt Milano would be a good option.
Ralph?
There's a good case to be made for Milano because you're almost making the same case for Bradley Chubb when you brought in Chubb after he returned from injury last season, like Milano did, and he had a decent season, did Chubb, coming off that injury, but it always takes a year, and now he's coming into this situation with this defense, and you wonder if it's like the same thing with Matt, who was back last year, had a lot of flashes, and that could be a possibility. I was going to ask you guys what you would think if they signed Bobby Wagner.
I don't want Bobby Wagner. I don't want Matt. I'm sorry. I'm going to say it, man. I don't think I want Matt Milano back. He lost his step. I hate to say this. I have a Matt Milano jersey sitting in my closet right now.
I know you do.
Yeah, he lost his step last year.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is.
And
if we were bringing him back to be a guy off the bench, sure. Like if he's coming back and he's not the next guy in line to start or the starter, yes. If Matt Milano's linebacker 4, I'm cool with it. If he's linebacker 2 or 3, I don't think so, man. I can't watch this guy. I can't watch this guy fade away, bro. I can't do it. We watch Trey White do it, and you watch Jerry Hughes fade away. I can't, bro. I can't watch Matt Milano fade away like that. Let him just ride off in the sunset where he is now, or bring him back as linebacker number 4. I'm cool with that because you get him in spurts, and hopefully the spurts you get him are good. But yeah, I don't want to see him out there giving up 3rd and 8s to running backs or tight ends on plays where 2 years ago that's at least a pass breakup. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Nor was actually.
You're making a good case here, Whittle.
Give me Jermaine Pratt. Give me Jermaine Pratt. I will take the lack of elite athleticism that him and Milano once had for the instincts that Jermaine Pratt brings in coverage as a drop defender and just his ability to punch the ball. Like he finds the football, he forces turnovers. I love Jermaine Pratt. If we can get Jermaine Pratt as like linebacker 3, linebacker 4, I'm probably fine. I'm fine with that. I'd rather that than Milano, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. Well, I agree that the inside linebacker is definitely the position unless they discover something that's in camp now, and at Caleb Alarms, for example. But I like even Kevin was saying earlier, you got to anticipate that would be a spot that they'd bring in somebody, and Pratt would be great. I mean, he's that attitude type of player also. So this will be a fascinating watch.
Certainly will. And we may see some of those questions get answered as we start to see how things look after camp, and especially as the season progresses. We could always see a trade. We could see some other free agents there'll be some quality guys available even throughout the season that we could potentially add to our room. We just got to see how everything fits under our new defensive coordinator. Well, gentlemen, I must bid you farewell myself. I do have to get out of here at this moment. But Ralph, this was awesome. I hope we get to do this a lot more. Whittle,
you bet. We're just getting started, right?
It's great to be back, man. It's great to be back in normalcy again. So next week is the first day we open up trade camp. It's going to be an exciting night. We'll be here for everyone in the group chat. I just want to give the group chat a shout out. You guys have been great. I've had a lot of great back and forth. So keep that coming every week. We'd love to hear from you more and more, and we'll highlight more comments as we go, especially through the season going forward. So go Bills, Ralph. Great to meet you. I look forward to talking to you here a lot more. Whittle?
Likewise, and go Bills. Yes, we'll be back.
As always, brother. Have a good evening.
Cool. You too.
All right, later, Baron.
Good.
All right, man. It's just me and you again. All right. We'll I'm gonna kind of table this. We'll end it really soon. But I just want to run through a couple of things and get your opinion. The defense last year was top. I think we were like 11th in points per game. Definitely saw some regression in the takeaways, or at least takeaway margin. And we were one of the worst teams against the run. Really good against the pass, but some of that had to do with people just being able to run the ball whenever they pretty much wanted. Where do you see the improvements in this defense in comparison to last year? Or are you at a spot where you still need to wait and see?
Well, I think there's some things that make it obvious where it will differ. And the first one is the fact that Jim Leonard, in one of his earliest press conferences, flatly stated that the priority of the defense is to stop the run. And sure, that's kind of corollary. Pretty much everybody's going to state that. But yes, he definitely stated stopping the run will be their priority. And then number two, the math on the line of scrimmage has changed. The Bills have 5 guys in the line of scrimmage. They've only had 4 previous. And this defense will attack rather than react. And I think so. The whole dynamic of being the like a top 11 defense, but with the points against and some of those other things, just that also points to the fact that the Bills had time for possession on a lot of these games. The defense wasn't as exposed because that's what McDermott wanted, which is why we had a defense that rushed for more yards and more often than any other team in the league. So I think both of those point to that. But I think with the changing math on this defense on the line of scrimmage and the disruption that's going to happen, because you'll notice this defense will not really have, per se, a nose tackle. I mean, Travis Clayton, I think, might be involved in that defensive line. But even at that, I think guys are going to switch their positions around. You won't have like a true nose tackle that's always going to be on the center or a shade one side or the other. So I think stopping the run with the disruption that they're going to create, being able to get in the backfield like, Ed Oliver and what he's going to be able to do, not being double teamed all the time because just of this changing math on the offensive line. So I think it's early to tell, but it's with the attacking style they're going to use and with the change of math on the line of scrimmage, I think they're going to be a much more successful defense actually than they were last year, both with the points against and turnovers, especially. I think it's just because they're going to attack. And if you just go ahead and say that, that's at least the start of it. And that will be a change rather than sort of the McDermott style, which was great when you had Hyde and Poyer, but those days passed. And we saw what that defense became.
I feel like somebody that's not really mentioned at all by anybody this like right now. Jalen Kilgore, safety out of South Carolina. Like I just think, I think we are going. I think he's going to play more. I think he's going to be more impactful than the hype around him would suggest. I just want to address something really, really quickly. There's a comment that says, "Is Diggs still available?" Not for the Buffalo Bills. I'm sorry. I mean, there's some allegations attached to Stephon Diggs. I just really don't want this team to be in. Like I don't want the team to be a part of. Like, just keep that guy away, man. I'm sorry. You know, obviously with Diggs, if Diggs were to be an option, I think there's some conversations that have to happen between him and 17. There's also some conversations that have to happen between him and Brandon Beane. And I just can't see it, though. I can't see it.
I think they're good with their receiver room right now. It is the thing.
I agree. But go ahead.
I said a lot of people will say no to that because it's just based on what it's been. But hearing them talk and hearing Pete Carmichael talk about it and Joe Brady, and some of the things they're saying, they're accurate, but they're not just blowing up the team. I believe there's definitely something going on in the receiver room now, and I think the attitude that's brought with DJ Moore to start with, he's got that connection with Allen based on the number of seasons, the age. They were signing autographs together when they were rookies, or even before. I think even during the draft process or whatever it was. So they've had kind of a connection there, but this is going to be something very, very different, I think, with Moore. And then what it does for these other guys is all you need to do is change one thing, and so many other things can fall into place on a team. And I think that's possible with this offense. And that's why I think it'll be a more prolific passing offense. I think it has to be just based on how often the ball was run last season and the kind of pressure you're putting on James Cook.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I'm hoping Cook's numbers, his touches go down, especially his rushing. Right, like the rushing, the amount of carries has to go down. I don't know that the amount of carries period for the team I think has to go down, but I don't know that I would run the ball all that. I don't know that I would run that much less. Or I don't know that I would run less or drastically less than what we did last year. Like, I think we ran the football close to 400 times last year. I would still probably run around 350 times this year. Just not with him. Just not like Cook can't have 300 plus carries. I'd like to see Cook around 250, and then the remaining 100 attempts spread out between Ty Johnson. Obviously, I'd like to get the quarterback involved again in some design runs, because I think if you're right and this offense becomes more explosive, than pushing the ball a little bit further downfield, there's going to be some space in between the secondary and the linebackers. That if we can get to the second level with the tight end or pulling linemen, I mean there's some big play potential for Josh Allen running the football. So I'd like to see Josh get a few more carries in the design run that are not tush pushes or quarterback sneaks. I'd like to see that. I'd like to see him get out in space, and I want to see Davis get more carries. And I'd like to see Ty Johnson run a little bit more out of 11 personnel. Those are the things that I'd like to see. If we're going to have space out there because we're pushing the ball down the field, let's take advantage of it and hand that football off to some of these athletes and let them go to work. And with that being said, I think we did the record and things like that already. I do want to get into the observations of what's happening in training camp. We will be following that going forward. So we will talk about some of that next week. Ralph, I think you brought something up about the turf versus the grass. The grass. There's a podcast on. There's a content creator on YouTube. His show is called Cracking the Tables, and I don't know if you've ever seen it, but he gave some numbers on the injuries. He gave some numbers on the injuries between grass and turf, and like lower extremity injuries, leg injuries, foot injuries. It's like 60% more on turf than it is on regular grass. I'm happy we're going to regular grass, but you still got to play the Jets, so that's at least one game on turf. I don't think who else has a turf field. Let me look. I'll look that up really, really quickly.
It's the Patriots are grass now, right?
I'm about to check right now because I think I mentioned James jokingly, but
we can figure the ones that don't because we've got the Jets certainly, and then down at Houston.
Yeah,
I mentioned Deggs jokingly, for crying out loud. If you want a championship, you have to throw caution to the wind sometimes. I don't care if it's a one-year wonder. I just want a Super Bowl win. Yes, I'm right there with you.
NFL team.
Now Woke is in the house. Cool.
Let's see. 15 of the stadiums are still using turf. Jeez. Giants and the Jets, obviously. Titans.
They're building, though. They're probably going to change.
Okay, so the Falcons have turf. The Panthers have turf. The Bengals have turf. SoFi is turf? This can't be right.
I think SoFi is turf, yeah.
Wow. Okay, NRG Stadium is turf. That's Texans. Minnesota is turf. New Orleans turf, and Seattle is turf. So we play.
That's just 3 games, from what I believe.
We play the Chargers, the Rams, the Texans, the Vikings. Well, we play the Rams in SoFi. So Rams, Vikings, Texans, Jets, and that's it. 4 games.
That's 4 then. Okay.
Oh, wait. Gillette Stadium put grass in for FIFA. Yeah, I know, but I think these guys are going back to. I think these stadiums are going back to turf. I think they are. I just Googled it. I mean, I could be wrong. Like I reserve the right to be incorrect based on what the internet's telling me. So,
Fume drummer in the house.
Yeah, you gotta. Your people came with you. I see the chat's a little bit more lively.
Well, I sent the show over to that channel. I didn't know you could do that. We tried that tonight for the first time, so that's apparently working somehow. The guys are here, but Gillette Stadium put in grass for FIFA, but I probably coming out. I guess it's maintaining it year round, or it's hard to grow it from the start. But the Bills are approached this with having to do just that with this field, and that's what they're doing. But
yeah, all right. Well, I appreciate you coming through again, Ralph. Man, we're gonna shut it down now, and next week, like I said, we'll continue to follow up with our Bills talk and talking about the what's going on in training camp. Hopefully
we'll have a week of rookie camp we'll have in place by that time, and then veterans will be just getting there. So it's going to get exciting here.
I will also update the pod on the social media war between the Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. That's going on right now. It's very, very, very fierce fighting. It's actually slowed down a little bit over the last couple of days, but it's been pretty toxic after that list came out, the top 10 quarterbacks. And now with the top NFL, like with the NFL 100, you got Lamar Jackson coming in at like 67 or 69 or something like that. I think it's 67. And, you know, the Ravens fans are not happy about that. But who cares? Because Ravens fans suck. But Ralph, again, man, thank you as always, bro. And I can't wait to do this again. Gotta have you on during the season. Maybe we'll talk again during the preseason or something like that. We'll work something out if you want. I'd love to have you back. You know that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be on the road for a little bit for one stretch there, but I'll get in by phone even if that's what it takes.
Okay,
phone
all right.
cam. But
maybe
yeah,
we can.
definitely.
Are you going to Green Bay? Are you going to?
No. Nope. I got another destination out west. That's a family thing. My daughter's an actress, and we're going to see her perform in a bunch of musicals.
Oh, very nice, very nice. All right, man. Well, you know, we'll figure something out. I'm probably going to do a couple of games this year. I'm looking at Vegas and definitely Green Bay. That's definitely happened. I always do. That's definitely happening. And I always do the MetLife game, so you know it's right there, like 20 minutes away from the house. So,
oh, it sounds good. The Green Bay, that sounds fun.
Yeah, one of my buddies, Packers fan. We're gonna go out there and watch the game, man. I've never been to Lambeau, so this will be a first. One of the major stadiums in the NFL knocked off from the bucket list. So, yeah, man.
Got to do it. Sounds
Absolutely.
great. All right, cool. So till next time, thanks so much, and thanks guys for showing up out off the Ralph Rant channel. That was great to see that was working. And as always, be good, do good, God bless, and go Bills.
Go Bills. Hey, Mark, I'll see you in Green Bay, brother. Y'all have a good night.